I think you should concentrate on slimming your fleet down, as you may have finished this project a little bit quicker than if you had. Huh? I can't even read that. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a completely different episode today. An episode that I've actually considered making a long time ago, but I'm not sure why I've not actually done this before. It's something completely unique. I pride myself on some unique episodes that actually other YouTubers don't bother doing or haven't thought to do. For instance, just reviewing cars for sale on Facebook Marketplace and eBay and Auto Trader, and scrutinising adverts, because actually that's quite an effective thing to do. Because if you are looking for another car or a new car, used car, whatever, you need to scrutinise adverts and know how to scrutinise them. So everything from the description, the pictures, things that don't add up, things that immediately stand out, and whether the price you think is too much or that's an absolute bargain, that's important. And those episodes do really well, and it's something that I don't think anybody else has tried. Maybe a couple of people might have a go themselves. But one thing that I've actually enjoyed in the last few episodes when I've done my thoughts of the week is actually talking just generally about the wide perspective of the car community. And yes, that famous video that I did just after Christmas, looking at the destruction of ICE vehicles versus EVs and the demonisation of the motor car through the decades. I'm glad that many of you have watched that video, because I couldn't be more serious if I tried. It's actually so laughable, some of these things. It's untrue, but it's some things that we have to laugh at and fight at the same time, sadly. But this episode is completely different, and I'm going to take things it's either going to be extremely serious, laughable, or somewhere in between. And I'm going to have a look at people's comments. And this is a bit risky, I will state this now. I am not going to be mentioning several things when I look at people's comments on YouTube. The comment section on YouTube is the most fascinating place ever. Have you ever watched a YouTube video and you think, goodness me, this is controversial, let's have a look at the comments, see what people think? It's almost like an automatic thing to think, right, let's have a look at what people say, because YouTube is an amazing place for free speech. Yes, there's some hate, and those people get blocked immediately. I've had that, other YouTubers have that. There's some really nasty comments and comments that should be pulled up, but equally there's some very straight talking comments from people who, well, they're going to be straight because there's nobody else in the room. Being a keyboard warrior, well, not a keyboard warrior, someone who is a bit near the cuff, that could work both ways. You can either come across as a keyboard warrior or come across as saying something very straight that people actually feel hurt by, because they don't really want to hear the truth. And as I've said before, people really don't want to hear the truth. And sometimes it hits home. Sometimes I've had some comments where I thought they got a point, actually, they got a very good point. But then some come across as quite nasty on the other side of things. But I find it fascinating, and so do you. So I'm going to have a look at the comment section as opposed to scrutinising somebody else's video. Now, I've spoken before about what YouTubers like and what I don't like. I watch an array of YouTubers, and it might be quite hard for me to disguise the sort of videos that I might be about to scrutinise. Now, I'm not scrutinising the video, I'm scrutinising the comments. And when I say scrutinise, I'm just gonna read some comments out, and I'm going to say what I think about them and some quick-witted answers. As usual, this could be quite risky. So let's get straight into there. First of all, I will say one thing. I am not going to name the YouTube channel. I am not going to name the title of the video in question that I'm reading the comments of. But I'm going to try and make sure that you are aware of what the video is about. I'll describe the video and then I'll go through some of the comments. Some of you will be able to know. However, I cannot reveal whether you are correct or not correct. If you say, I know what video that is, well, that's your answer, but I'm not going to admit to that. Anyway, let's go and have a look at the first video I'm going to have a glance at. We'll go through a couple of videos and see where we go. I have no idea where this is going to go. Okie dokie, right, the first video we have in front of me is something I watched the other day. It's a bit political. This channel is a car channel. Everything is a car channel here. But it's a bit more, he's getting quite political. In some ways more than others, but he loves cars. And the title of the episode is similar to Birmingham banning cars. What's it all about? Well, let's have a look at some of the comments. The video is this person talking about Birmingham, apparently in the Sun newspaper. Yeah, we don't pay attention to the Sun. Planning to ban cars. Well, not exactly banning cars, but banning cars at certain times. And I know as someone who lives in Birmingham, that's not going to work. Because people will just move out of Birmingham. I mean, there are people that don't really want to live in the city no more, and you're giving them an excuse to move out the city. And believe you me, that would happen. So it won't happen, but I believe that they're trying to limit it into certain structures within Birmingham. And some of the comments are quite interesting. So this first one, Birmingham needs to worry about less... Oh, I think I won't read that one. That was a really... They say this is where it could get a bit dodgy. I don't want to read that one, actually. That was quite harsh. The worrying thing about Birmingham is one of almost no-go areas in this country where policing has become weak and ineffective. Oh, I wouldn't disagree with that comment, but at the same time, there's so many other areas that it's in weak and ineffective. I think pretty much from Scotland to the bottom end of England, that's the truth. So Birmingham is bankrupt and can't afford to maintain its infrastructure. So in order to reduce maintenance costs for its roads, Birmingham have decided to remove the cause, cars. So nothing to do with helping the environment or bringing benefits to people. Spot on comment. What a good comment. 183 people like that. Bloody good comment. I'm just going to like that one. Somebody else put, let's see how much this affects the price of goods and services property. What about commercial vehicles, police, ambulance, fires, builders, etc.? I'm afraid even the disabled are not on that list. It's a very good comment, that. I think Birmingham should actually concentrate on making cars again as opposed to getting rid of them. Yeah, I would love it if just suddenly MG started saying, you know what, we're going to make more MG cars, but we're going to actually rebuild Longbridge. Absolute fairy dream, that is. Total fairy dream, but probably a good answer. I had the misfortune to drive into Birmingham last year with a friend. Neither of us could get over what a horrible place it was, and I didn't feel safe. In fact, I felt quite intimidated by the surroundings. Not to mention we drove into the clean air zone by mistake, and once you're in that road you can't turn off. Correct. So Birmingham Council can ban cars as far as I'm concerned. It won't bother me, as wild horses wouldn't drag me back to that hellhole. Ian, that is such a strong comment. That's untrue. As someone who lives in Birmingham, I can 100% say it's absolutely damn true in some places. But if you go to certain other parts of Birmingham, you'll find it absolutely fantastic, namely the south. By 2050, the goal is for 80% of cars to be taken off the road. I don't know if that quote is true or not, but that's quite concerning. But I suspect that's probably true. I reckon 80% of cars possibly will be taken off the road, but under what context? Because they are going to be replenished with new cars, so I'm not quite sure if that really is going to stack up. But all I would say is if you converted that 80% of cars that are existent now, won't exist in 2050, I'd probably say that's absolutely 100% correct. But we've got to make that about 95%, because that's generally the sort of low mileage, low percentage that older veteran classic cars kind of survive at. Was a grim video the name of the person who did the YouTube video, but also very truthful. People need to stop getting their views and information from the BBC, ITV and TikTok and putting their heads in the sand. I have to say, the one thing I missed out in one of my latest, one of the biggest videos that I've done, the most important one, that fantastic video that I mentioned earlier, is that I mentioned more or less about the BBC, but what I should have mentioned was TikTok, because let's face it, how many people are now going onto TikTok for actual news, which is just so dangerous, it's untrue, and so laughable. I'm not quite sure how I've wandered onto this, but this is my second video, and for some reason I actually did watch this morning. It's in my history, and I'm not sure why, but it's road rage driver knocks a motorcyclist off his bike at 50 miles an hour chase. After a 50 mile an hour chase, somebody got the spelling mistake wrong there. Basically, I believe that the whole thing was caught by the driver's own dash cam. He was an older driver, and the whole video, which is about 3 minutes long on Sky News, shows the man basically bashed, his mirror got bashed by a motorcyclist who gave him the fingers and the thumbs up, and then the guy chases him through the streets and rams him down. That's ridiculous. I mean, don't get me wrong, motorcyclists, that I have had some very big issues with them in the past, but Jesus, well, he's gone to prison for that. He's an older driver, and he's down for 8 months in prison because of that. And I just think, why? But anyway, let's look at the comments. The first one was, the police should hire this guy for pursuits. You need to watch this video, because actually the driving was pretty reckless, but actually quite controlled. The other, someone said, how that guy couldn't lose him on a dirt bike is beyond me. This is the thing with road rage. There's no way of telling how crazy the other person is. He thought he lost him right at the beginning, and then had a heart attack when he turned around and saw him inches away from him. Yes, I can imagine how that could be. People are taking the law into their own hands, and society is breaking down. Unfortunately, I've seen that more than once. And someone has actually carefully put, like the saying goes, the older I get, the less life in prison is a deterrent. I think we'll move on from this video. This is quite, excuse me. The next video is a very, very small channel, and it's a recovery channel. It's a roadside recovery channel. Somebody who works for roadside recovery and does a few videos of what cars they're picking up. That was just the advert before the video. And the title of this video, and I can tell you the title of this video, because again, I don't mind sharing the title of this video so you guys can watch it. Ford Fiesta back axle falls off while driving, roadside rescue. And basically the video is of a Ford Fiesta Mark 6 that has had a bit of a problem, and the owner looks quite shaken, and thank God they're okay, because the entire rear train arm suspension, the torsion beam, had detached both wheels from the back of the car and sort of left the car, and the car sort of turned round without its back wheels. That seems to happen on Mark 6 Fiestas a lot, where the rear suspension rots completely and the arms just pull off, and you're just left with two wheels and a back axle sitting over there with shock absorbers, and the rest of the car is half on the ground. It's a real problem with Mark 6 Fiestas. Well, congratulations for the comment of the day. Definitely a first time that I see a Fiesta like this with independent rear suspension. Oh dear me, now I don't know if that's in bad taste, but yeah, that's an interesting comment. I'd say the state of our poor roads has a lot to do with suspension bush wear and axle subframe damage as well. Whoever fitted the new exhaust recently would have noticed any impending rear axle subframe fail and warned the driver. The problem is that doesn't really happen. Garages just want the car in, they do a job, and it goes out the door for the next car. They're not really concerned about, oh, this needs doing or that needs doing, because a lot of the time garages actually will look at a job and think it does need doing, but we don't want to do that job, so we're not really going to mention it. When garages don't mention things, it's also because they don't want the work, because them going to the customer and saying, we've done your exhaust back box, but by the way, we are concerned that your rear suspension is very corroded and you're going to need a new rear beam, a second-hand one, because that will probably fail the MOT and be quite a significant problem in a probably very short time, just for your safety. That is a precursor to the customer saying, well, how much do you quote for doing the job? Now, some customers will just ignore this and think, I can't afford for that. That's expensive. I can't afford for it to, and they'll just leave and they'll just deny that there's a problem. But the best people will say, okay, how much would it be to get it done? Now, that garage will therefore be under a bit of obliging situation where they'll probably have to go, well, we'll do the job, but it will be quite expensive. Or maybe they just should admit that they don't want to do the job, but they won't admit that to customers because no garage is going to admit not to wanting to do a job. They'll just outprice the job to the point where it just puts the customer off. Now, this video has been done by a big YouTuber, and the title is, I can't really say the title because some of you will know what I'm referring to, but it is a review essentially of a Citroen 2CV, and the question is whether that car was the best car of the 40s, 50s-ish. Interesting. So let's have a look at some of the comments. Now, Citroen 2CVs, yeah, that's pretty much what I think. Anyway, let's ignore the 2CV. I don't hate 2CVs, I just... Right, the first comment that I've just noticed, let's just pick a random comment. As a fairly recent owner of one, I can say it's the best fun at sensible speeds. You have to drive it hard to get progress, but the design and the engineering make it a classic that is simple to maintain and keeps up with modern traffic. Proper motoring. Hold on. Did you just say keeps up with modern traffic? I've never seen a 2CV keep up with modern traffic. They may be extremely light cars and the engines are very small but extremely capable engines from what I've seen. But keeping up with modern traffic, you know, obviously this guy's owned one, but come on. Even owners can be slightly rose tinted about their cars. Yeah, it's a lighter car, but it's a small engine. I'm sorry. I just don't. Oh, I'm sorry. I disagree, but I'm not an owner. What do I know? I want to move on to another video because I'm kind of conscious that there's a couple of videos I want to get in here. The next video is a video that I was made aware of by somebody else, that another YouTuber had gone and bought a Mark III Fiesta from a classic car auction. I thought I'd give the video a bit of a watch. The YouTuber in question is a very young YouTuber. He's into his 80s Fords, a lot of modifications. He enjoys modifying Fords, especially Mark II Fiestas. Might have given the game away there, but still. And I watched the video, and he buys this lovely Mark III Fiesta, quite a poverty spec model. I think it was possibly a Popular Plus. I think it would have been. And he bought it for a reasonable price. And he fell in love with the car. You know, put some fresh fuel in, a tweak here and there, and it starts. And he absolutely loves the car. And he was quite determined to keep the car original, that this was too good a car to mess about with. And I respect that. He takes somebody who enjoys modifying Fords, but to recognise an unmolested car, like a blank canvas to some people, and to say, no, actually, this feels wrong. Let's leave this alone. Let's leave this as I found it. I'm just going to improve it as it is. And I have full respect to that person a lot after watching this video. And I'm going to just read some of the comments. The first one, what a solid car. Be a great base for an XR RS rep. Or simply keep it as it is and enjoy the 1 litre HCS. Well, that's more like it, thank God. I'm glad that he continued, because that wasn't a good start to that comment. My first car back in 2003 was one of these on an L-Reg, so it was an early 3.5. that sparked my love for Ford, so the Mark III Fiesta will always be a special car for me. What a fantastic comment that is. I'm really pleased. Apart from the first bit, I don't like this whole XR-RS rep thing. What are you trying to achieve by making the car look like it? Because I just think, for me, the last time I saw a rep was a Mark II Fiesta that I saw at the Motorist, which I thought it was an XR. I thought it was an XR2. So me and my mate, we're going up to it, and he's watching this. I know that he'll know who he is. I hope he does know who he is. And we walked up to the car and we thought, hang on, there's something wrong here. The seats, they weren't the correct seats. And we're like, it's a replica. I'm sorry, that's the reaction you're going to get from a lot of people by making a replica. Unless you intend to make it an absolute inch-by-inch replica, i.e. you couldn't tell the difference and people are fooled, don't bother. Don't bother. Because people are just going to walk up to it and think, oh, it's a replica. Nobody has any respect for replicas. So don't cost yourself money. Just keep it as it is. If you want an XR-RS, you're going to have to buy one. Lovely car. Time walk condition, mileage, etc. My mate had a red 2-door back in the day. G-Reg, I think. I seem to recall the top end of the engine was a bit noisy. Yes, that's usual with the Kent engine. And also this engine, he used to weep oil into the crankshaft where it can weigh. I seem to remember the metal for the sumps was imported from Spain and it was a bit porous. I might be wrong with that, but I did stick it in my... I don't know what he meant by that. The bodywork condition is just fantastic. What a find, what a purchase. Decent comment. Absolute bargain. I had a Mark III 3 years ago. MREG 5-door, unfortunately. What's unfortunate? I'm not quite sure what the obsession is over 3 doors. Oh, I suppose it's all this XR-RS replica thing again. It was a special limited edition. Turquoise blue met, twin airbags, glove box, plush velour seats. I loved it. The front and rear aprons under the bumpers rusted badly. The valances, yes. Love a familiar Tapety engine to boot. You've got a good one there. Once it's tidy up, it will look brand new. Takes me back to when I used lots of ex-Mobility Fiestas after they were returned to the Ford main dealers. Some of them had been adapted for disabled drivers with hand controls, which made them interesting. Especially driving them back. That's interesting. I've seen hand controls on quite a few cars. There was a very recent Austin Maestro 1.6 automatic that was for sale on Facebook Marketplace, and it had hand controls. Somebody had put a hand control in, probably off-put people. Plus the headrests were missing, and that was a big problem because getting parts of that were very hard. I've got this comment from somebody who thinks he's a bit of a know-it-all. Looks like a clean example. The jack is facing the wrong way round. Sounds like a complete know-it-all, this person. If I haven't already, I have Mark III videos on my channel of my car if you're bored. To start the car, I have a procedure that works each time, and it... I'm sorry, Steve, I'm only joking. This is Steve from FF04 Ford, basically. And that is his channel. Great person. Hello, Steve, how are you? I'm only joking about this. I'm just trying to catch you out, Steve. Just, you know, wake up. I like the base model saved and keep it original, not tarted up to look like something they're not. Correct. Absolutely. And I'm going to leave that there. I hope this young person enjoys the car and he looks after it. And if he looks after it, somebody will want to buy it. That's the way it rolls. I believe that this Fiesta might be a bonus. I think. Trying to focus on videos that I have briefly watched. Some of them I've watched a bit more in detail. This one I certainly have. Again, big YouTuber, and we have a Rover P6 that is not rolling. I think I've given the game away. This is really not working, is it? This incognito thing. Anyway, let's have a look at a couple of comments. First one, I don't think that this Rover hates you. I think it's just assessing the amount of your love and dedication. That is a comment made by somebody who has never owned a classic car before. Yes. I must point out that this video is about a certain Rover P6 on a big YouTube channel that isn't working, and it works and it doesn't work, and then lots of bits have been done to it with a completely wrong engine in it, and it's going good, it's getting better, but equally there's too many things going on that you can make good progress on, but it might be quite an interesting car once it's finished. And the owner's certainly going to enjoy the car when it is done eventually. Haha, these repair videos get better and better. Great for keeping it honest. The more you open, the deeper you go down the rabbit hole, unfortunately. Don't give up. Looking forward to future episodes. Making some tarp as a flap on the back of the... Oh, no, I won't say that. So, yeah, that's probably a great point, actually. And that is usually what happens with my car ownership. The deeper you dig, the more you do find. And if you aren't finding holes, you're not digging deep enough. That's what I say. And I've discovered that on every single car that I've bought from other people who have only told me what they know. But because they haven't delved in enough as much as I would, therefore I will find more. And that's why my haggling abilities is required. Because I know that I'm going to have to haggle that few £100s off, because it's just, that's how it is. Anyway, next comment. Classic work. Reminds me of my own spannering. 1 step forward, 3 steps back, and always in rubbish conditions. Freezing cold or too damn hot. You can, yeah, that's a good comment. Best of luck with the starting issue. Probably something modern or pattern parts have packed in. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's very much. You should check the ignition barrel to make sure it isn't the cause of the car not starting. Well, there's many other things you should check before the ignition barrel, but on older cars it is a thing where they kind of wear. In fact, I've seen the evidence, and I've done a YouTube short on a certain Rover R8 where you can actually remove the key from the ignition after starting the car and the car still runs. That's how worn it is. It's providing a complete circuit. So in that car, the only way of stalling the engine, thank God it's a manual, is by dumping the clutch and stalling the thing. All Rover P6s are worth saving. They are wonderful machines. That's the comment of this video. 100%. Beautiful cars. And I absolutely love P6s. Those calipers are the same as a Jaguar 420 and E-Type S2. You can get new ones at a reasonable cost or a rebuild of around £100 each. Goodness me, we're talking about front brake calipers. Okay, that's expensive. I've done refurbed calipers on P6s before, and they were a bit cheaper back 5 years ago, about 70 quid. I didn't know they were shared with other cars, but it makes absolute sense because they are Girling calipers, so therefore they will be shared with a lot of cars. I would at least find somebody to resurface those brake discs, assuming they have enough meat on them. Oh, please, please. No. What? Why would you resurface brake discs? I'm sorry. No. Look, just buy new ones. You can get new ones for P6s. It's not damn hard. Honestly, you can get new old stock ones. There's plenty of suppliers that have remanufactured brand new ones. There's plenty of them. MGBD parts, JR Wadhams. There's a few specialists. Honest to God, ugh. If you don't know anything about P6s, what a joke. Why would you you don't resurface brake discs unless you literally can't get any more brake discs. They're that rare a car. I think you should concentrate on slimming your fleet down, as you may have finished this project a little bit quicker than if you had... I can't even read that. You did the brake caliper removal all wrong. Should have tried pushing the pistons back first, then remove the pads, and finally remove the calipers themselves. Well, actually, there's a comment underneath this. He never... Oh, well, that's quite strong. I don't think I'll read that out, actually, because I don't think this person deserves that. That's not very nice. My opinion is you just remove the pins and slide the pads out. You know, the way that the old Girling calipers are actually designed is so you've got the two pads sitting on, because the pistons are obviously on both sides. It's not a single piston caliper, like you have to actually push the piston in to get the outer pad off so it drops off. You don't need to do that with this. You literally just remove the C clips off. There's 4 of them, two off one side and 2 off the other. Pull the pins go through the pads and they keep everything lined together, and then they just drop out. There's no need of actually shoving the piston back in. Once again, it's an example of comments from people who actually know less than actually the person who's actually done the job. So I have to support the YouTuber in question on that one. And a bit annoying that is when people tell you another way of doing things than the way that has just been successful on camera. I find that quite annoying, but everyone's got an opinion, I suppose. Part of the issue that's been faced is around the selector mechanism. The Borg-Warner gearbox is a bit clunky. The rods have to be adjusted correctly. It's like a Z rod linkage. You've got the gear lever, you've got a rod, you've got another rod, you've got another rod. It's a pain to adjust them rods, especially as it's all come apart, and effectively he's actually got reverse in park. I believe that's what the problem is. And if that's the case, then you're not going to know what gear the car is in, therefore if the start inhibitor is actually stopping the spark. But this comment has to be the comment of the day. She will not have a spark if she is not in park. And the last video I'm going to look at, well, I can tell you what video it is. It's one of my own videos, and I thought I'd rather go through a couple of the comments just to end things off. I have no idea how this is going to look in the edit, but I hope that it's reasonably entertaining. You're probably scratching your heads. I don't know how this is going to work, but it's worth giving a try. The video in question is The Unspoken Truth, the Destruction of Old Ice Cars. I was sitting on this very sofa and relaying my points, facts, and, well, a little bit of fiction. Not fiction, but it could be conspiracy theory, especially 15-minute cities. Do you think it's a conspiracy theory, or do you think it's real? I personally thought it was a conspiracy theory. Now I'm beginning to think it's real. But maybe that's just Chinese whispers for you. But I'm just going to look at a couple of the comments, and I am going to pick some people out. David, my good friend David, don't get depressed, Andrew. One thing that I've learnt over the years is that the biggest change always takes a lot longer than predicted. When I was little in the late 70s, I can remember being told that there would be no petrol left and the sea levels would rise dramatically and the world would be on its knees. This worried me greatly at the time, and I'm not surprised. But thankfully, we haven't reached that point yet. I have to admit though, the rapid change in motoring in the last 5 years is alarming. You actually made me cry when you talked about love and friendship. Probably more important than the cars themselves, absolutely. I'm sure E5 will be around for some time, as this is the preferred fuel for most high-end and luxury petrol cars as well as classics. I was staggered at the 50% increase in my insurance policy last year. I tried to explain that my 205, a beautiful 205 Mardi Gras, was only a 1.1 with 60 brake horsepower and was worth very little, and I had over 20 years of no claims, but it didn't count for anything. They did the premium by, they managed to sort the premium by about 15%, and I reluctantly accepted. Yet another thought-provoking video, and I watched it all the way through. Comment of that video. Thank you, David. And you've covered a lot and made some extremely good points. And that's the point in the video. It is about love, friendship, cars, because these cars won't be around forever. And when these cars are no longer around forever, the talking point, the connection between people is lost almost, because a lot of people only know other people because of cars. I would hope that if cars vanished, that I would still be very close friends with a load of people that I've met in the last 2 years. And that would certainly be the case, on my side especially. But it might be difficult for other people to connect with other people, new people without cars. That will be the biggest loss, the social aspect of the loss of cars. Oh, I haven't responded to this. I have now, but at the time of this video, I need to reply to this comment. And that is where I leave this episode. I'm going to have a look at all the comments that I have not replied to on my own channel. And if you enjoyed this video, put a thumbs up. If you think it was too boring, please feel free to be honest, because I have no idea what I've been doing this evening. I just thought, why not? Nobody else has done this. Take care, guys. I shall see you maybe in a more connected episode and more structured. Take care.